Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Zach.
Hey everyone, this is Sawyer. We're going to be discussing some truth in the trenches.
So come on and join us on this journey as we grow in our faith. What a day, dude.
What a day.
I've had a great day. I am excited to be doing this with you. I think we're super excited about our guest that we have lined up for some special episodes. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be cool. I'm kind of tired of talking to you, and we could. I'm just kidding. No, dude, I think that's really cool. I'm interested to see what they have to say and how that's going to go.
I'm excited.
So make sure y'all catch the next one, or you're going to miss out on those guests.
Francis Chan.
Yeah, Craig Rochelle. I don't know if he's going to quite make it
Jeff
yet.
Bezos.
Yeah. We're like those name droppers. So this is episode 5, dude. How cool is that? It's 5 deep so far.
5.
We
It doesn't feel like it.
I know.
It doesn't feel like it. It's crazy.
This one's going to be all about finding your purpose.
Okay.
Kind of what that means. That's what our take is anyway on finding your purpose. Discovering God's plan for you.
Yeah.
And kind of what that looks like, at least from our perspective.
Yeah. I like the topic we did the other day, or the last episode, gratitude. What do you have to be grateful for?
Yeah.
Yep. I like it. But I like this one, finding your purpose.
Yep. So,
All right.
that's I struggled with that for a while, and again, we can only really share our experiences and where we've come and what we believe that our purpose is.
Yeah.
You hear the term all the time, make your workplace your ministry.
Yeah.
I struggled with that for a while. Like, I don't understand. For me, I'm an electrician. Like, what does that even mean? I make a light bulb work, or I make a fan come on. Like, what does that mean? And you really got to step back and think about that, pray about it. I believe that, a plumber, electrician, whatever, if you're in the trades or if you're a doctor, it can be, I don't believe that in my belief, I don't think you have to like just, oh, here's the Bible. You need to read this and know it. I think you get to that point, but the main thing is they need to know the gospel, who Jesus is, what he did for us, and then move from there. Like you have to believe that. Show them some scriptures, but in the workplace, I think you can it's little subtle things like, somebody's, man, you're lucky. But, no, man, I'm blessed.
Yeah.
That's one of my big things is the luck thing. I just don't even believe that anymore.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad sometimes. I jump on people when they say lucky, and I'm like, no, dude, you're blessed. That's a blessing.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not all luck. I'm glad there's someone orchestrating what's going on. That's a blessing. But no, I take the whole, what is your purpose? I think I have my opinions about this, but like whenever, kids are in school and you kind of expect a 16, 17, 18-year-old to kind of have their life figured out, and they graduate high school and it's like, all right, what you gonna do? Like, all right, make the big decision of what you need to do with your life. And it's like, not that that's a bad thing. I just think that, that's a lot of pressure put on a child, and I think it works out for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it doesn't. And, there's a part of me that's like, well, yeah, I mean, they need to kind of have a fire lit under their butt. And, but as far as I was concerned, I couldn't care less what I did. I just kind of flew by the seat of my pants, and I'm blessed I landed on my feet. I landed this job and I got here, and God's orchestrated all of that. But I think the term find your purpose is there's a lot of depth to it and there's a lot of importance to it, but I think we overcomplicate it, you know, and we overlook the faith aspect of it. Is just like, man, wherever God wants me, I'm going to trust him and know that that's where he wants me. And I'm going to let him, I'm going to kind of, there's an aspect to it. Like, let the chips fall where they fall. Like, don't lose sleep over like, where does God want me? What does he want me to do? But also, like, you know, you need to have a fire lit under you. You need to, you know, get busy. And so it's just finding that medium, but just know that you don't have to have it all figured out.
Yeah. That's like, heard many people over the years say, you know, I got a degree in whatever, psychology or something, you know, and then, but there's not a job specifically available, or maybe they want some certain job and they can't get it. So they just don't get a job at all. It's like your purpose might be to go through that season of a job that's not pertain that or doesn't pertain to your degree for a reason. Like there's a reason you're going to go there and learn something.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, obviously there's purpose in everything, but yeah, I agree. When I got out of high school, I didn't have a clue. I mean, I've been an electrician since then, but I didn't know that that was my calling at the time, you know, or my purpose in life. I just kind of fell into a job, but I wasn't a Christian either at the time. So,
Well, after high school, I kind of bounced around from job to job. I graduated during COVID in 2020, and so it kind of shows my age a little bit. Yeah, I know. But you know, we were doing online class. I went to a private school, and so I everything was online, and I already did not give a rip about school, and so I just kind of slacked off, and especially whenever I was doing schoolwork in my room, like I ain't doing no schoolwork, and so I went to night class during that time, and I was going to get my EMS certification. I was going to go and work on an ambulance and be an EMT, and that's what I did. As soon as I graduated, I started working at this ambulance company called Acadian, and I liked the attention I got from it because everybody's like, "Ooh, what
the heroes here."
Yeah, oh boy, like what'd you see?
Yeah.
You know, but in reality, I was just driving grandma to her dialysis appointment every Tuesday and Thursday, and it just wasn't for me. And so after a year, I quit and I just job hopped, you know. And so, you know, I think there's a lot of pressure put on someone, but then again, it's like you don't have to have all that pressure. You don't have to. But like I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad God landed it. I landed on my feet, and I'm glad God put me where He put me. And also, like I'm also glad for those jobs that I didn't like, and you know the jobs that I went through while I was job hopping, while I was reaching this job, because I learned so many things. I learned a lot of skills going through that, and so finding your purpose is also like you're learning along the way. You know, like don't be just sitting there twiddling your thumbs like, oh, I'm waiting on the next stage in life. Like this is just like I'm biding my time here. Like learn something there. You know, what does God want to teach you in this season? You know.
Yeah, I think I was gonna kind of shift here outside of a career. Would be, let's just say, if you're like in a small group or like a some kind of youth group or a men's study, any kind of like community that you're in. I know I felt a lot of times like, oh, I don't know enough about the Bible, or I don't know enough to like be the person giving the speech or the whatever. Maybe it's just maybe you're a good listener.
Yeah.
Maybe your job is just to just be a shoulder to lean on, just to listen. Maybe that's your literal purpose. I mean, that is a purpose. People need that. I'm the opposite. My wife's a listener. I'm a talker.
Yeah.
And, so take that as like, people might say you talk too much. Well, use your voice to spread the word however you can, or lift somebody up, or, maybe you're in a room full of listeners and you could be the one to speak up.
Yeah.
So there's purpose in everything.
Yeah. And steward, you want to steward what you do well for the kingdom, and like, if you know that about yourself, like, okay, me and my wife my wife is extremely intelligent, and there's times where like I'll be in a room where I'm extremely, I'm intimidated by the room I'm in, the setting I'm in, because, there's a lot of really smart people, like I'll be in a men's small group, and it's a lot of very, I want to say old men, but seasoned men.
Yeah.
And they're talking back and forth, and they're bouncing wisdom off each other. Like in that moment, I really I wish that I could have something to add, but like in that moment, I need to just be there and listen. I need to learn from them, and I need to, I don't have to be one of the wisest people in the room, and I struggle with that sometimes. But as for like my wife, she can hang right with them. She loves that kind of stuff. She loves just bouncing ideas, and she ain't scared if she's gonna be wrong. She's just she wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I love that about her. That's really cool. But yeah, just
Realizing that in the moment of being around those people, like, this is my time they're feeding me right now.
Yep.
Not that you can't be back and forth, but just being aware. I've been in some groups with some people that just I feel like I'm being a butt, but just talking,
Yeah.
and they're just all about them, just like taking up the whole session. And there's, just being aware.
Yeah.
That there's a time that you need to just sit back and let others, they
Right.
need to talk. They need to feed you with something,
Yeah.
Maybe we need to shut up every now and then and let somebody talk to us and tell us what we need to hear.
For sure. Yeah. And like there's something that God's wanting to teach us in that moment. And like I said, we don't have to be the wisest people in the room all the time. And just realizing those times that God just wants us to shut up and listen.
Yeah.
And learn. Yeah.
I'm going to read so I was at a retreat a few years ago, a couple years ago, something like that. And Romans 8:28. Well, actually 8:28 kept popping up everywhere. It was on the prayer wall. A couple of people that got up mentioned it. It was like the verse of the day. It was nuts.
Yeah.
It just couldn't get around it. It was Romans 8:28. And it says, we know that that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. And so, and I know that says that it works all things for good. You've got to realize that again, this goes back to our last week's thing of gratitude, but you've got to realize that some of these valleys there's a purpose in that valley.
Yeah.
You're going to learn something. And like I said, you might be helping that next guy or that next person.
Yeah.
And, oh, wow, that could get deep, but called according to his purpose.
Yeah.
The only way we're going to really know our purpose of what we're supposed to do is to be in communication with him, be in prayer.
Yeah.
And really see, going back to the job thing, like, how can I use this skill or my talent in my job to further the kingdom? It doesn't have to be directly. Like, I could never tie that. How is hooking up an electrical wire gonna
benefit
save
the kingdom?
Somebody? Yeah, I couldn't get that. It's not that though. It's what you do. You're just there. Like, the side effect is fixing an outlet.
Right.
You're there to brighten their day or whatever you're gonna do. We run across all different types of people, and
right.
and they have bad days. A lot of times it is a bad day for them. They've got something gone wrong. They're having to spend money unexpectedly. So just being like that calming, reassuring, like, friend, and not just like a get in there, fix it, and get out. Like genuinely caring about them.
Yeah. Kirsten locked her keys in the house. She's standing right there. I'm gonna hand her my keys real quick.
All right.
I'm back.
Yeehaw.
Hi.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know. That's just the biggest thing that I've noticed is your purpose. A lot of people just don't understand that side of it. And I
Yeah.
was one of them, and so I've learned that. Is there anything? I know we covered the job side of it, your workplace side of it, but like, can you think of anything like outside of that? I guess like we kind of talked about small groups. Is there? How do you find out? Like,
How do you go about seeking what your purpose
yeah.
is? And I'm gonna go back to like the whole, you know, shutting up and listening. You know, learn from. I want to say learn from seasoned people, not old people.
Yeah.
Learn from seasoned people and surround yourself with people that are going to build you up. One,
Yeah.
two, that are going to pour into you and that are going to be honest with you, you know. And I wouldn't have made the decisions that I made if it weren't for being in small groups, if it weren't for surrounding myself with godly people that are pouring into me and that are talking me through life decisions. And don't make life decisions by yourself, you know, like be very what's the word? Be have it in your mind that, okay, I'm about to buy a car, or I'm about to buy a house, or I'm about to change jobs, or I'm about to decide who I'm going to date or who I'm going to marry. You know,
Yeah.
don't make those decisions by yourself.
Seek wise counsel.
Yes.
That's what, yeah.
Yes. And not that like you need other people to help make decisions for you, but like surround yourself with people that are going to, one, get to know you intimately, because you don't want to walk up to someone that you barely know and be like, "Hey, I'm about to ask this person out. Who do you think I should or shouldn't?" They're like, "I don't give a rip," like,
Yeah.
you know. And but like if you plug into people and you're letting them, you know, you're meeting with them once a week or like I talk to Brandon. Me and him meet once a week, and I actually see him at church all the time. We're around each other, and I'm constantly through the week, like I'm texting him. I'm allowing him into very intimate parts of my life, and he has a big say in a lot of my decisions, and that's just because I allow it. And like that's something that me and my wife have integrated into our life. Brandon and his wife are very intelligent. They've been through this, just a lot of the same things that me and Kirsten go through. And so, you know, I like I said in a podcast before, like I believe that God orchestrated Brandon to be in my life. And so I'm going to utilize that. I want to make sure that, hey, Brandon, you know, when I was buying the house, like I wanted to share my financial status with him. Like I wanted to share those things with him and let him help me make that decision, you know? And, you know, when it comes to like big stressors in my life, like, you know, stuff with work, I'll talk to him about it and then he'll help me make the decision. But just utilizing people, one, allowing people, godly people, to be intimately involved in your life, and two, consulting them on those decisions.
Yeah.
You know, and I truly believe that through prayer and through leaning in on God, like God's will, and making sure that you're in right step with God and utilizing your community, your godly community, you can't go wrong with that.
No.
You know, you can't. It'll be very hard to make a mistake doing that. You know.
Yeah. And I think you're like with the Brandon situation, you utilize, well, number one, you're allowing him to be in his purpose by allowing him to disciple you. That's his purpose, is
Right.
to disciple.
Right.
So you're allowing that to happen, or, you know, you're not rejecting that.
Sure.
And Number two is you just never know what little piece of advice somebody's going to provide because of
Yep.
their experience that could save you from a bad decision, or maybe it slightly alter your decision just to make it even better,
Right.
or just to tell you you're right on track. Like,
Right.
yeah, you got it,
Yep.
And I think that's super important
Yeah.
to life, just to guide you through, have
Yeah.
that community.
Because a lot of decisions can seem like a really good decision, and it can seem like, okay, it's really hard to see the negative, or not necessarily the negative, but I have this decision in front of me. It's really, I don't really see the reason why I shouldn't go with this part. But then you seek that wise counsel, you seek that your community on that decision, and they're like, no, I actually think you should go this way. And I know I talk about him all the time, but Jonathan Bacluda in his podcast, he was talking about a friend of his who he was at this job. The job, his boss was just it was a lady, and she was really mean to this guy, taking advantage of him, like of his position, not really ever giving him a raise, just being very, abusing her power almost. She wasn't a Christian, he was. And so this job opportunity came up, and it was, on like looking at it, it was like a no brainer, like better pay, better position. It was his dream position. He's always wanted this job. The cookie cutter company, just like everything was falling into place. And he went to his community, his close knit friends, and he was like, hey, he gave them the information. He was like, hey, I have this decision to make. I kind of already know the answer, but I just kind of wanted to, let you guys in on the decision. And they were like, hey, we actually think that you should stay at the company that you're at, because this could be an opportunity for you to minister to your boss. And he was like, what?
Yeah.
He was like, that was a left fielder. Did not expect that. And so he ended up, he left that meeting really sad, but he ended up going with staying at his job. And it come to find out that his boss's son had committed suicide. And that's what, like, he didn't know that. And so she was just kind of like in that season of like, right whenever he got the job to like this time, he was like, he didn't know that she was going through this. And she actually, something happened. I don't know the exact details of the story, and I might just be butchering the story, but like he ended up ministering to her, and she got saved and baptized, and like started pursuing God. Was just an awesome boss. And the job that he was going to pursue actually ended up falling through, and the company went bankrupt.
Wow.
And so it was just like,
that was his purpose.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
he couldn't even see that.
Right. And not that the other decision would have been a bad one, but it just wasn't for him.
Yeah.
God had something else for him to do. And I think God can use you wherever you're at, but make sure you're leaning on him. You're stewarding the gifts that he's given you, and one of those gifts is godly community. Yeah. And so leaning on that and utilizing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that'll help you with finding your purpose. Man, thank God for community. I'm glad that's the way he designed it, because we literally, you just can't do it alone.
Mm-hmm. God said it is not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
Yep. And I find the seasons that I isolate myself are the seasons that I make the worst decisions.
Yeah.
And just kind of, I'm very destructive. I'm very not in tune with this, with his spirit and what he's telling me.
And you can make some decisions really quick in those seasons that take a long time to either reverse them or heal them or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, sticking with that, man.
Yeah.
I think back to, at one point when I was younger, I just couldn't understand the overall purpose of life. Like why I go to work 5, 6, 7 days a week and just to pay bills. Like,
Yep.
what's the purpose of that? How is that fun? Like, what is that
Clock
like?
in, do your
That was,
job,
and that
clock
was
out.
an unbeliever's mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you could still have that as a believer sometimes, but
Sure.
you just get caught in a rut. But now there's so much more purpose to life
Yeah.
because our as a human, as a believer, we were created to our purpose on earth is to bring glory to God, to share the good news, the gospel of Jesus, and spread his name. That's like literally our purpose.
Yeah.
And it's not, our purpose isn't to make a whole bunch of money and do this and that. You look at all these people that have all the money in the world and they're just not happy. They're still committing suicide. You look at it on a smaller end for us. If we get as an outdoorsman, if you get like a new gun, you think that is it. Dude, I'm going to get that gun and it's going to kill so many ducks for me and all that.
Yeah.
Then you get the gun and then you still go, goose egg and don't kill any ducks. And then it's like, well,
shoot.
crap.
Yep.
That was not it. So we're searching for fulfillment in things that aren't going to fulfill us. So.
Yeah. Well, there's this movie about this guy. He works for this big corporate company and he comes in every day, clocks in. I think he's like an accountant or something. He's one of the main accountants for the company, but it's a very, very boring job.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And he comes in every day. The beginning of the movie is just like him, like his alarm clock goes off, and I don't know the name of the movie. If you know the name of this movie, just drop it in the comments or whatever. Help me out. And forgive me for butchering all these stories if I am, but he clocks in, does his job, and then clocks out. And then all of a sudden, he's approached by the FBI. And the FBI is like, hey, your company's doing all this sketchy stuff, and we need you to go undercover and seek out like and get information for us, basically. Like, you're still going to go in every day, do the same job, but you're on mission, like you're undercover.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he goes to work the next day and his job is so exciting. Like he is like looking around, like he is on mission.
Yeah.
He's got a purpose,
Yeah.
Whereas before he was doing the same exact thing, but now he has a purpose to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we need to look at the gospel is like, okay, before we were just going about life like, let me go to work, let me go put gas in my truck, let me, blah, 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 whatever. Now we're on mission. God has given us this purpose in life, this mission to go and share the gospel. Mm-hmm. And we're still doing the same stuff. We're still like, life doesn't change just because we got saved, but our outlook on it, our purpose has changed.
Yeah.
And so, looking at life like, man, God has me here for a reason. God has me at this boring, stinking job for a reason. God has me at this small group that I don't know anything about what they're talking about for a reason. Mm-hmm. Utilize this. I need to learn from this. Where do I need to learn? Where do I need to go? Where do you want me, God?
Yeah. I watched the Case for Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady, there's a scene in there where Lee and his wife and their young daughter are eating at a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter gets choked on something. She's literally choking, can't breathe. Mm. And this lady comes up and she just happens to be a nurse. She saves the little girl. And the obviously Lee and his wife are not Christians at this time. the lady saves the little girl, and then she's like, I think she even says like, "Oh, how lucky," or something like that.
Yeah.
The lady's like, "Oh no, that's not luck. That's God had it was a
Wow.
reason we were here. We had a purpose of being here." And so looking at when you go places or you're in somewhere, and the lady didn't even want to go to that restaurant, but something
Right.
told
Something
her to
told
go
her.
there. So they ended up going, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a long story to that, but that lady saving their little girl at that restaurant, it took years, or I don't know exactly the timeline, but it took a long time before the wife was a Christian, and
Yeah.
then Lee was, and then look at what he's done since then,
Right.
his books and all the stuff that he's done.
Right.
So looking at the season you're in, that there is a purpose there. It may not even be for yourself. It may be for somebody else, but
Right.
just like that guy with the job, just goes back to gratitude, being grateful for what season you're in, because there is a purpose in it, even if we don't know that
Right.
100%.
Right.
And I think there's times where we do, we know our purpose. You could say that, like this podcast, we know our purpose here is to spread the good news. We don't know exactly how to be good at this or do this. We just kind of come on here and we're just talking, right?
Right.
We don't have like a script to go by or
Right.
anything like that. This is just all off the top of the head, and
Right.
it's a little scary. It's a little, people are going to see this. People that we know are going to see it. They can comment on it, and it's just a little unnerving, just that fact. But I can feel confident and reassured that there's no motive behind this other than just spreading the good news and hoping that people somehow will maybe come to salvation or further their sanctification process
Right.
by seeing this.
Right. A Bible verse that kind of came to mind, and so Pastor Ryan read from it this morning, and I told you about it, but Galatians 6:9, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. And the first thing that comes to my head is reading the Bible every day. Who wants to wake up and read Galatians every morning? As a Christian, and I guess I just struggle with this, but like I struggle with reading the Bible. I don't want to read it. I'm horrible at reading. But just like everything else, it's a muscle I have to train and I have to build up. And for some people, like they just love Kirsten. She loves to read, and whenever she reads the Bible, she'll read like 4 or 5 chapters, and I'm like, if I read one more chapter of stinking Genesis, I do not want to read this stinking book, and that's just something that I like as a Christian, like I want to develop, and I want to develop a love for that, and it's pretty convicting, honestly, but just like that verse, like and let us not grow weary of doing good. So don't be discouraged just because you're doing something that's hard. Even though it's good, like it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's something that you have to develop. And then the next season, or the next, right after that says, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. And so, like I was saying, that's a muscle we got to train. That's something that we have to develop as we grow in our faith is, okay, like God, and that's just, for me, but like God, I don't want to read this, but I know that it's going to, even if I don't learn anything this morning from reading this chapter or reading this verse, I know it's going to eventually develop into something good.
Yeah.
It's going to produce, I'm going to reap what I'm sowing right now. Yeah. And that's just like working out. Like just because you did 300 sit-ups right there, like, okay, I'm still 250 pounds, that's me. But
you got to continually just stay in it.
It's every day. And then eventually like, oh, okay. Like I'm starting to see the change in that. And so
that goes back to the foot lamp floodlight thing. I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
That's right there with it. We don't know we may not see that purpose of reading Genesis or Job or something like that,
Right.
or whatever,
Right.
but there's going to be fruit in it. You might read that and then the next week or month something happens and you can go back to that word. That's God's word. You can go back to that and use it for whatever the purpose is,
Yeah. I love that.
Wow.
Yeah. What's the action item?
Map out your passions and talents, aligning them with your faith. So I think talents, I would tie that in with your job. So for me, electrician, that's a talent.
Okay.
You learn that, passion. Again, I'm going to go back to career. I mean, the passion, is to help people. So you can use your talents to help people.
Yeah.
So use your passion and your talents, and that's your purpose.
Yeah. Mapping out, that can be, like I said earlier, like ask your community, be like, hey, what do you guys see in me? Like, what do you guys, if you had to pick something, and it'll probably be awkward. It's awkward for me to just say it right now. It's super cheesy, but like, man, what do you guys, if you guys saw me right now, like what job or where would you place me? Basically, moving this, and then just see what they say, not like, I don't know, just like see what they see in you, and then like let that help you, make that decision, because that can have a lot of say, and they can probably say something that'll be, you would have never thought about that.
I could early on in my time, like right after the retreat and early on in Christ Church, there's some guys that like talking about there's seasoned guys, and they did that. They were like, man, I just see a leader in you. And dude, I'm like,
What?
Nah,
Yeah.
not me. I'm
Right.
just like, they're just trying to be nice or whatever. And not to say that I just like, they kept speaking that and that's just what happened, but they fed that. I mean, they were just feeding me with that,
Right.
and letting me, really, really just believe it,
Yeah.
and then like, I don't want to say fall into a leadership, position, but I believe just by them doing that and then me asking them like, where could I get better? Or some of the people that are leaders, asking them like, what do you do in this situation? Different things. They
Watered that seed for you.
dude. Yeah. They can help you find the purpose behind things or the purpose behind what you're doing.
Right. Yeah. Just because you're a community, like, especially if if y'all do life together and y'all are prayerfully, supporting each other, it's really hard to go wrong with, seeking advice from them and seeking, okay, what do you guys think? Like, if, and you might be in the job that you want to be in, but like just utilizing them and letting them speak into your life, and mapping out. I love how it says map out your passions, because you can say write down your passions, but like you want to map. When I think of like mapping that out, like you're utilizing all of your tools that you're given.
Yeah.
You're using prayer, using what the Bible speaks into you, using your community and all those things. And then also like what you feel like God tells you about you, asking him, like, I guess that goes into prayer, but utilizing all the tools that God has given you and then letting that create, okay, where does God want me?
And you got all the, I guess, thinking map wise, thinking that again, that's cool, because you think about, you have destinations. Like, I want to, maybe I want to get to where I have more gratitude, or I have more peace, or more, fulfillment or purpose or whatever. Well, what roads do I need to take? Pray about that.
Right.
Pray and ask God, which route do I need to go? What do I need to work on to get there? And I think you'll be surprised that when you start leaning into this stuff and mapping out your passions and talents, it's going to be hard for you to. There's going to be a lot of things that you'll know about yourself, but again, like you said, you have to reach out to people in your community and ask them, what do you see in me, positive or negative? I need to know. Like, please tell me what you think. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm ready for it. I need to know this.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Awesome.
Yes, sir. I think that's all I got on it. No, right? I think that's about it.
Awesome.
I don't have anything. These mics, man, we're learning. Hoping this stuff's working good.
Yeah, I know. The last episode before it's edited and whatnot, we're hoping that it works out, because it was a little. When we tested it out, it was a little loud.
We are not technical guys.
It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, I think this is cool, and again, we just appreciate the people that are supporting us
so much.
We really enjoy the encouragement, and we look forward to the future things. Again, we're gonna have the guest on. Really looking forward to having those guys, because talking about seasoned people, we've got some seasoned people coming on, and just having people that are they're in our community. It's not people that we see every single day,
right,
or talk to every day, but we know we can lean on them. They'll listen to us, and sometimes they reach out and they need us to listen to them.
Yeah,
It goes both ways. So really excited about that. We appreciate y'all tuning in, and we hope you enjoy these episodes. If you have any feedback, reach out to us. Share this with your friends, your family, and just let them know what we're doing.
Yeah, please. Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all.
Love y'all.